Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Matt's Fishing Mission. Today, I figured let's go over a complete gear review. Everything I'm throwing, everything I'm using to both fish and film, and how I put the videos together. So with that in mind, let's jump right in. Before the video begins, make sure you guys hit that like button, comment if you like any of the stuff you're seeing, if you want to see anything specific, and of course, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. At the end of this video, we've got a couple giveaways to announce, so make sure you watch through to the end or in the middle. There might be some parts snuck in there. We've got something for you guys in the Cincinnati area, and then we've got something for everyone as far as some giveaways. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy this video.
What a monster.
All right, first up, we've got crankbaits. Crankbaits, they're fun to throw. It's kind of a low maintenance bait to throw. You're not really having to work a whole lot with crankbaits like you are, let's say, with like a jig, or you're not really having to manually create the action. So crankbaits are a great way to start off, especially if you're just starting to get into bass fishing. So what I typically throw for crankbaits most of the time is shallow divers, because I fish a lot of creeks and streams and skinny rivers, as you guys well may know, and I love throwing crankbaits. So the crankbaits in my selection, 90% are going to be shallow divers, anywhere between 1 and 5 to 6 feet for the most part of everything I throw. Okay, so one of the first crankbaits I'll go over is this really big segmented crankbait, fairly shallow diving. I have yet to catch a fish on this. This is on my bucket list for 2020. I will be so excited. If you're throwing something like this, you're going for the big bite. That's just it. You are trying for something that is huge and hungry, and yeah, this is one thing I want to throw this year, to catch a beast, and I hope it happens. So along that, with segmented baits, we've got another segmented bait here, also a little bit of a shallow diving. One thing I like to get in a lot of my crankbaits and just baits in general is contrast in color. I've done a little bit of research on the vision of bass, both smallmouth and largemouth, and their vision obviously isn't like a human's vision, but they do notice contrast in color. That's why it's so important when the water is a little bit dirtier, that we all throw, for the most part, you should throw black and blue, or those dark colors, because those dark colors have a contrast against that water, where the clearer baits or the lighter color baits are better in the cleaner, clearer water, because they stand out against the background of structure, rocks, trees, logs, stuff like that. They don't blend in. They don't blend in quite as well. So contrast in color is a big thing you wanna look at. And I've got a couple other smaller segmented baits, also with high contrast in color, and then we just kind of go progressively down in size. I've got a shallow runner, and then I've got this deep diver that I occasionally use for when we have a deep pocket, or maybe if I'm on the kayak hitting a lake. This would be one I'd try to throw out there. This one I really like. The action on it is, it's almost like someone took a spook, a topwater spook, because this is a floating segmented crankbait, and they turned it into a crankbait. They kind of cut a spook apart. So this has got really erratic action, and it's good to, it's almost like, I would consider, the action used on this would be like throwing a jerkbait, a suspending jerkbait, and giving it that twitch pause, but only in a kind of a shallow diving situation for a crankbait. I like this one a lot. And then this one I've thrown was up on a couple videos ago. Caught a few smallmouth already. I got this at the trade show in Sharonville, the convention center in Sharonville. They had the winter 2020 fish expo, and someone was selling these little segmented swim baits for like $3, $4. Not a bad deal at all. But these were kind of a deal, and they've got great action. If you guys look at a few videos ago, you'll see this one in action. It was really good. And then we've got one I've had this for a few years and I still have yet to catch a fish on this. This is also something I really want to try to catch something on this year, is the live target bluegill. There's no way nothing's going to eat this. I just have had bad luck with it so far. So it's one of those baits I don't have a lot of confidence in yet because I just haven't thrown it a whole bunch. But that is definitely something I want to throw more. Okay, moving on to the medium-sized crankbaits. First up, we've got a popular one you guys I'm sure have all seen on the internet, is the Guggen Squad flat banger. We picked a couple of these up for Christmas. They had just recently come out. I've thrown actually the red one here. Jen gave me a challenge a couple videos ago to only throw 3 baits, and this was one of them. And the second cast, I caught a smallmouth, or maybe a rock bass. Second cast, though, I caught a fish on this, so it worked out pretty well. And we've got one with kind of like a baby blue with a light bottom, and then the high contrast color black and red. I really like these because they put how deep the bait runs on the bottom of the crankbait, and I appreciate that because, like most of you, I open up all my baits and I throw them in a box, and then when you're looking at them, you don't know sometimes what brand they were or how deep they dive. You're just going based on, you know, your expertise on looking at the size of the crankbait and the bill and the angle of the bill. Another really good crankbait that I like throwing is this bait. They're called Proberos. And we picked these up because they've got really good looking natural paint jobs to them. I really like these. So we picked up a 6-pack of these, and they've got one in like a trout, and they've got bluegills and baby bass. And they've got like this carp style color, this koi carp style color. They've got these really nice realistic paint jobs. So I picked these up, and they're also balanced very well. There's one thing to say about if you're making a crankbait and its action is perfectly true. And what I mean by that is when you're reeling it back in, it's got that straight at you. You don't have anything that makes it tilt off to the side or swim left one way or swim right another way. A good balanced bait of any kind, no matter how expensive or cheap it is going to have really good balanced and really even action. So that's something I look for in a bait. Is just nice balance when you're throwing it. So those Proberos crankbaits, really like them a lot. Well balanced, and they look fantastic. All right. Oh, and they've got another one here. Kind of like a little perch style bait. Another one is these jawbones. You can tell I throw these a lot because, or I'm sorry, this is the Lunker Hunt. They've got the Lunker Hunts. So high contrast color, the orange and black, and the chartreuse and black. You can tell I throw this one a lot. The eyeballs have been knocked the heck off, and I still use this because this bait is awesome. I had a buddy who came in from Colorado, and he went smallmouth fishing for the first time, and he threw this just inexpensive Lunker Hunt bait and cranked on him. Caught his PB smallmouth. So I like these. They're an inexpensive, good quality, and again, they're well balanced. They swim like they're supposed to. And then just running through some others, some other crankbaits. Let me tell you one thing about this one. This is one you can get at Dick's. I think it's their house brand. It's the Jawbone. It is the, it's like they've got the crawdad with these kind of wobbly arms. Now, one thing about these is that they look great and they swim okay. They're not the greatest, I won't lie. They do tend to, when they swim, they will turn to the side and then come up to the surface, and then you got to kind of give them a tap to get them to dive back under. But when they're swimming right, they're awesome. So I like throwing this occasionally just to have fun. But if Jawbone fine tunes this bait and gets it to where it's working, where it's balanced well, this would be a great bait for under $3. And then one more I want to point out is the bomber. The bomber is a classic. The bomber is also a shallow diver. It's got a square bill. perfectly balanced. Again, that's probably the key thing when you're throwing some of these baits, especially when you go down in size. Sometimes it's easy to get a bait that gets a little bit unbalanced or swims erratically. And I've picked some of those up at like trade shows and stuff like that where the bait just looks great, but the swim action is just terrible. So that's kind of a deal breaker for me. If the bait doesn't swim right, I don't even care what it looks like. And then one thing I really like to throw, and one thing I need more of, because I think this is the only one I've got left, I throw them so often, is a floating crankbait that's shallow diving and that has some sort of fly on the trailer hook. This is really good because especially when you throw it out there and it first hits the water, I like to leave it sit for just a second. That feather kind of sits under the water, give it a slight tap before you start working it. And more often than not, something that it's not going to be spooked by the action or just the turbulence of the water when this hits the water for the initial time. And that's another important thing with topwater and crankbaits. When you throw that bait out there and it hits the water, don't immediately start reeling it in. Let it sit for just a second or two so that fish that may have gotten scared by the splash in the water can maybe readjust and look and see what hit the water. So I always let it sit for a minute. And these ones, especially with that fly trailer, are really fire. It gives the fish something else to look at, something else to key in on that looks like an insect or a bug or something with wings down there. This is also a good bait when you're swimming it. You can swim it for a second and just let it stop. It'll rise to the surface and then that fly just sits right under the surface. You can almost fish it almost like a topwater kind of hybrid bait, like a topwater crankbait. I really like, in skinny water situations, throwing a floating crankbait so I can stay up off the water, especially when it's clearer. These are great to throw. All right, now we've come into the fun stuff. This is the smaller crankbaits. This you can throw at panfish, bluegill, crappie, even smallmouth and largemouth will attack these things. But this is when you're maybe not getting the best of bites or you haven't really keyed in on the bass. These are the things to throw. These literally will catch everything. And don't be fooled. If you've got a 4 or 5 pounder in the water, they will strike at these. But this is typically you're going for a little bit smaller bite. So I really love the bug and insect style baits. This is probably one of my favorites as far as looks. It's got a cicada pattern to it. So this is a really fun bait to throw, and it's got great action. I think these are all the Rebel baits as well. Rebel makes a really good insect bait. They've got the crick hoppers and all these little single hook with no treble hook, little insect baits. And I tell you what, I have one complaint against this bait here. You can find this bait at Walmart, and I'm not sure, it's just a generic, it says crappie crankbait, and it's this black and red crankbait. It swims perfectly. It is well balanced. It dives great. It's fairly durable. The one thing that I have an issue with, and with some crankbaits, is when you make the 2 treble hooks that are just enough to do that, where they just sometimes swim together and they get hooked. So if they could rearrange this bait and move the treble hook up like a fraction of an inch, this bait would be perfect. Now, what I've done with a couple of these, because I keep 2 or 3 of these, is I've switched the sizes of the treble hooks to try to help them not get tangled as easily. So I'll put typically a smaller one on back as like the trailer hook, and then a larger one up front to try to get those not to get tangled as much. And then we've got an assortment of like these shrimp looking baits. We picked these up at the trade show as well. So just kind of a local bait maker supplied these. And then you've got all sorts of these little tiny panfish and crappie style crankbaits, which are all fun to throw. All right, and the last kind of crankbait I want to show you guys is the lipless crankbaits. I don't get out a lot in the winter to go fishing, but if you are going to throw a crankbait in the winter, a lipless crankbait is good because you can really get that up and down yo-yo action, and it's not just that straight retrieve like your typical crankbait is. So the lipless crankbait is great for doing that yo-yo up and down action, and you just want to touch it as close to the bottom as you can and then pull it back up, just giving it that up and down action. These are great to throw really in a lot of situations, but these are really good to throw in the wintertime when it's cold and you're trying to get that struggle bite, as we all would call it. And then, of course, you can't count out a rooster tail. Rooster tail is always fun to throw. This is great for smallmouth and panfish, rock bass. I think I went out the other day and threw one of these and caught 18 fish. You can't really discount the action that not only does that fly give the attraction to the fish, but a spoon. So, I mean, rooster tails have been thrown for probably almost 100 years. Classic go-to bait. Hey guys, thanks for watching part 1 of this gear review of what I'm using in 2020. Started off with crankbaits. We're still going to cover topwater and spinners and jigs and even some of my camping, hiking, and catch and cook products, and even some of the stuff that I film my videos with. Okay, so the fun part of the video is here. What's the giveaway? Well, if you are in the Cincinnati area, or if you're traveling to the Cincinnati area and you find one of these little rocks that are decorated with Matt's Fishing Mission, and you see the little YouTube and Facebook logo on one of the rocks, if you find one of those in Cincinnati, you could be the new owner of your own baitcaster reel. All you got to do is find the rock, post a picture of you with the rock on Matt's Fishing Mission on Facebook, and it's yours. I'll send it to you. And for those of you who are out of town, I do have something that is available for you guys to win as well. I'm going to put together a few care packages and send them to you, and you guys can have fun with them. If you film, that'd be awesome. Film it and show me your adventure with the care package I send to you. But we will be hosting some live streams this week, and we'll have a little Matt's Fishing Mission trivia. So there'll be some questions based on some of the Matt's Fishing Mission videos. So study up, watch some videos. You may get asked a question. You may win yourself some gear. So with that, I will see you guys on part 2 of this gear review. And we'll see you on the next Fishing Mission.